So I always recommend that students start their application on the 1st of November when the CAA opens, and then work on their application until it closes on the 1st of February. You do your application online, or most people certainly do it online nowadays. You can also do a written application, but nowadays we'd recommend using the online facility, the CAO online application. No, you don't. There's a late application option. It becomes a little bit more expensive. It's €15 more than doing it before the closing date on the 1st of February. But up to the 1st of May, you can put in a late application for the CAO. I'm afraid if you haven't put in your application by the 1st of May, you're too late for the CAO. You can't register till the following year. What you would do at that point is you would look at programs that exist that don't require the CAO, if you find yourself in that situation. And there are a number of colleges at this stage which offer direct entry programs. They're non-CAO programs, so you'd have to look there. But basically, if you don't get your application in by the 1st of May, you've excluded yourself from the CAO. It's your name, address, telephone number, the basic contact details that we need for the applicant. And then once you've put those in, you can start looking at your course choices and the course choice lists. Not for a standard CAO application. There are other schemes that are available, the Disability Access Programme and the Higher Education Access Programme for Socioeconomic Disadvantage. And there are 2 specific applications as part of that. And you need to start those early because there are certain forms and evidence required to support your application. 16,000 students a year apply for the HERE scheme or the DARE scheme. That's Disability Access or Socioeconomic Access. So for the DARE scheme, which is the Disability Access to Higher Education, you do have to make a statement. And the statement says not only what disability you might have, but also how that affects your learning. And it doesn't need to be a major disability, maybe something fairly minor, an eyesight issue that affects your ability to read fast, for example. So that slows down your ability to study. Or it could be any one of a range of dyslexia conditions that are making it more difficult for you. Or you may have a difficulty with spelling. They're straightforward enough. But these conditions need to be diagnosed by an educational psychologist. So you need an educational psychologist report and it needs to be relatively up to date. So this is why you need to complete that early so that you get it in by specific deadlines for those reports. The HERE scheme is based on your socioeconomic position. A lot of it has to do with the income of your family, but then it always comes back to, and how has that affected you? And you may not even be aware of the fact that if you don't have money, you probably haven't had the additional tuition that many students get these days. Or you haven't had the opportunity to go to the Gaeltacht for Irish, for example, because it's too expensive. So the things that other students who don't have an economic factor to consider have had as advantages. And the HERE scheme tries to address that to give those who can't afford these additional educational opportunities to recognise that in awarding points. It's possible to change your choices on your CAO program course up to the 1st of July, which actually means both before your Leaving Cert you can continue to change your choices under the Change of Mind facility in May. So after the Leaving Cert, up to the 1st of July, you can continue to change the order of your choices or the choices you put on your application. You go online, it couldn't be simpler. The CAO facility is very helpful and you simply go in and it prompts you what to do next, how to take off a choice, how to put on a new choice. And it's very important how you order your course choices. You will be given your first preference that you have the points to attain. So if you put down a course because it has high points as your first course and the course you want as the second course, if you get the points for the first course, you're going to end up with that course. So what you need to do is put down your course choices in the order that you actually want them. That's the most important thing. Now, the only thing where you might vary that is if you know what you want to do, for example, biological science, and it's in a number of institutions, then you might look at what points they're looking for in the different institutions. But beyond that, you really should be true to yourself and write down your courses and your preferences in the order that you actually want those courses. You will receive your CAO offer on the Monday after the release of the Leaving Cert results. So you normally get your Leaving Cert results around the middle of August, 15th, 16th of August. And then you get your CAO offer on the Monday of the following week. So this year, it's the 20th of August in 2018. Each year, it's that Monday after the release of the Leaving Cert results. You actually will receive your choice in 3 ways. You can go back to your school for the personal option. If you want to do it quickly, you can get it online. And if you're willing to wait for the letter in the post, you'll get it a couple of days later. All higher education institutions fill their courses in August in what's called round 1. So they're the offers that go out on the 20th of August. If a course doesn't fill in a particular institution, they have the option to offer again in round 2, early in September. And normally round 2 offers maybe at a slightly lower level of points than round 1. So points could come back a little bit from the points that they had in round 1. And you mightn't have had enough points to get your preferred course in round 1, but you could get it in round 2. Accepting a CAO offer is very straightforward. You can go online and simply accept, or you can write to the CAO and accept. The CAO would like to make clear that they would not like you to accept online and then also write to them. It's not necessary. And we can understand that people do that quite often just to make sure, to be sure. But actually you only need to accept. If you've accepted online, you don't need to write also. So it's one or the other. And you have about 5 days, roughly 5 days, to accept your round 1 offer. Then round 2, it gets a bit tighter, maybe 3 days, 2 to 3 days. And there are subsequent rounds and it tightens up. You get 48 hours or whatever to accept. Once you've accepted a place on the CAO, you've accepted your place and you're no longer waiting for a program. So you need to be a little bit careful here. Once you've accepted a course, you're removed from the waiting lists. You need to be careful not to accept a course that you don't want. When it comes to the choices of courses, wait until you get what you want. It might be worth waiting till round 2, or sometimes you can play off your level 7 list and your level 8 list. Let me explain that. A student gets 2 offers, one at level 8 and one at level 7. If you haven't got the course you want, for example, your first choice on the level 8 list, you could accept what you've been offered on the level 7 list and then wait for see what happens on the level 8 list. There's a little bit of tactics around that, but by and large, the recommendation is if you had it down as your number 1 or your number 2 choice, take it. Well, there are 2 things to look at. Firstly, you're entitled to go and review your script, to go and have a look at it and see what you did, because you may not remember it was a few months earlier. So just to see what you actually did, and you can see where you got marks and maybe where you didn't get marks. But the important thing is if you're thinking of appealing your results, you should appeal a result that's close to the next category. If you're 1 or 2% off the next level of grades, if you like, the next grade up, then you should appeal that. There's no point in appealing for a higher grade if you've barely made the grade below that. You're not going to increase by a full grade. That would be exceptional and very, very rare. So you need to be realistic about it as well. If you've got a H3 and you're looking for a H2, but you're just over the H2 threshold, you're a H2. If you appeal your exam results, you will hear in October whether or not you've got the additional points, by which time very often it's too late to accept the place that year, and so you would defer that place for the following year, or you would continue on the course you've started. So in fact, now you've been made an offer, you've got additional points, and you will be given that offer that you should have got. But by that time it's October, and very often you need to make a choice. Am I enjoying the course I'm doing and will I continue? Or do I actually need to step out into a new course? Usually by October it can be too late to start another course, particularly if it's a semesterized course. So you then have to defer a year. So it's a big choice. A deferral is for 1 year, and you do have to inform the institution at a particular point in the following year that you do intend taking up that course. So it's a 1 year deferral, and after a year, if you don't take it up the next year, the deferral lapses. I suppose there's 3 pieces of advice we would generally give people, and the first one is take advantage of the fact that the CAO opens in November. Don't wait until the last minute in February putting pressure on yourself when it's then difficult to do it and there isn't a chance to put it right straight away. If you start in November when the CAO opens, you give yourself plenty of time to think about it, to look up your course choices. I suppose the next thing we would advise students to do is to take advice from their career guidance counsellors, their parents, guardians, and think about it, what you want to do, because you're going to be doing that for the following 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 years in higher education. And I suppose the last thing we would always say to students, when you're choosing what you want to do on the CAO and in higher education, think about what you want, what you like doing, what do you enjoy, what are your hobbies, what are your interests. If you can find a course that is similar to what you enjoy and your interests, you will never work a day in your life because you'll be doing exactly what you want to do. You'll be doing what you enjoy. So rather than choosing a career for money or for something like that, think about what you're actually going to enjoy doing for the rest of your life and try to choose a course based on that.